Hi everyone, welcome to my channel, or welcome back to my channel if you've been here before. Please subscribe if you haven't yet already. It's a red button, probably down on your screen. And if you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. That would make me very happy. Today's video is the, I think, 6th in a series, because the first one was before anything aired, and that was a bonus one of cult beauty products, of my cult beauty products American Horror Story season 7 cult. Get ready with me, chatty, get ready with me while I use cult beauty products, and get ready. Today's look will focus on, or will highlight, the Too Faced Chocolate Bar Original Palette. And we'll do this, and we'll talk about the episode of American Horror Story 11/9, November 9th, the day after the election. So if you'd like to hear some ramblings about this episode and see how I got this look, please keep watching. All right, I've already gone in with moisturizer and with my Urban Decay All Nighter Setting Spray. And I'm gonna go in with my NARS Pro Prime Smudge Proof Eyeshadow Base. So, made notes, and I think the way that is best to talk about this is not necessarily linearly, but in terms of characters. So that's what I'm gonna do. I feel like we're getting more information now than we have had in the past, but still feel like it's a little bit chaotic. So being able to kind of talk about people instead of just kind of following it, because I think that things get kind of interwoven. So the first character that I want to talk about is actually not a character at all. It's the cult itself. I'm gonna go in with milk chocolate all over my lid just to kind of dry this down a little bit. So the cult itself as a character. One of the things I noticed specifically about the cult is first time that we see Kai in the gym is November 9th, 11/9, which is the title of the episode. It took me a while to figure out what that meant. I mean, not when I first started watching it, but when I saw that that was the title, I thought it was kind of a September 11th, kind of flipped around. But when Kai first goes to the gym on November 9th, start building up my crease with milk chocolate, and this is a Zoeva 227. So when Harrison goes in to clean off the spill on aisle 4, we see a happy face in there, and it's clear to me that Kai has written it, but I think we still don't know what the happy faces mean. Maybe it's kind of like we were here, or we're gonna be here, or something like that. There was a happy face killer. There was a serial killer whose name was the happy face killer, and I feel like he put happy faces in notes. I don't think it's at all related to that. I think it's more Manson-y and the writing on the wall there, but still not sure what that mark is supposed to mean. Actually, now I'm going to skip ahead to talk about people, because a lot of the other cult things are related to things that happen kind of in the middle and the end. So first I'll talk about Allie. Now I'm going in with salted caramel, same brush. So Allie, I noticed when she was voting, her curtain was red, which was interesting. I think all the other ones were blue, or most of them were blue, but I did notice that hers was red. I'm still unclear about why she's being gaslighted, what all of this means. And I will put a link in the description box down below to, there's a movie, actually 2 movies. One was a remake of another called Gaslight, and also to kind of what the term means in case you're not aware of that. But now I'm going to go in with semi-sweet. Basically it means, with a smaller Morphe M139, basically it means that someone or multiple someones are intentionally trying to make you feel like you're losing your mind, change your perception of what reality is. And the term comes from this movie where there's a house that has gaslight in it, and part of the whole process is that she sees these lights go dim when nobody else should be in the house, and that's a small portion of it, but that's where the name comes from. Okay, now I'm going to go in with marzipan over my whole lid, and this is with the Morphe M12. So I don't know why she's being gaslighted, because it seems like everybody around her is in on it. It seems like Ivy's in on it. I still can't tell if she's a part of the cult, and in the end I have a list of kind of who I think is in the cult and who I'm not sure, but kind of questions. But it seems like she is. So if she is, which I believe she is, then that's her partner, her nanny. I want to talk about that too, about Ivy and Winter. The neighbors across the street, Kai, everybody seems in on it, and I'm not sure why. And then I'm going to go in with Black Forest Truffle just on the outside, and this is a smaller, this is an e.l.f. small precision brush. So I'm just not sure, I can't figure out a reason why she's being gaslighted, and I feel like it does have to do something with Oz, with his parentage, like maybe going back in with Semi-Sweet. Trying to think about his parentage. So I think that that's like the only real reason, because that's a long con for Ivy. I think that this stuff with the cult is happening for her recently. But I wonder about Oz. I wonder who his mom is. I wonder who his dad is. I wonder if he's from season 1. I wonder if he's Ivy's baby naturally, if he's Allie's baby naturally, and if he's at all related to Kai. Kat Von D Trooper Liner. Oh, I also wonder, because we know from the first episode that Allie voted for Jill Stein, and we saw it in this episode. But I wonder when, and I bet that we're going to find out because that's a big thing. I wonder when she's going to reveal that to Allie, to Ivy. And I feel like it happened after the election night, because I feel like when, on the first episode, when Ivy brings up the fact that the amount of votes that Hillary is losing by, that Trump is winning by, is a lot of it has to do with people who voted for Jill Stein in that particular area because they're in Michigan. And I know that Allie had kind of a horrified look on her face, but I'm not remembering, maybe I'm remembering incorrectly, but I'm not remembering whether or not, I don't think that she talked about it then. Maybe she did. All right, so moving on. Ivy, is she in the cult? Timeline is also difficult. I think that she is in the cult, but I don't know when she got into the cult. So it seems at some point in this time that we've seen so far, Ivy's in the cult. I just don't know when that happened. I'm thinking that it probably hadn't happened by election day. I think everything probably happened right afterwards, and trying to kind of put it all together. And it seems to kind of coincide with Winter. I think that probably it was Winter that put the camera in the bathroom. I think that Ivy probably knew this was going to happen. Like, I wonder if this is all, not that this is the only thing. I feel like isolating Allie is not the only thing going on here, but I do feel like it's a big thing going on here. And I feel like that would be one weird reason. I can't think of what the reason would be to isolate her, but that would be one reason why I could see that Ivy put the camera in the bathroom and kind of maybe even encouraged Winter. Like, I wonder if that was even a surprise. But yeah, I do wonder what's happening with that. Estee Lauder Double Wear, and I'm doing my inaugural put the pump in here. It's annoying that they don't sell it with a pump. This is my first time using a pump. I used to do kind of the dip on your hand, but this is, although I suppose I am going to put it on my hand and then put it on my face, but what else? So also I rewatched the part of election night when Winter is hired for the first time, and as she's approaching the house, there's a female voice reading the want ad, and I think it said that the child was 10 years old. I think that I remember that in the last time that I watched it. So Oz may be 10, just thinking about in terms of him possibly being the child in the first season, but nevertheless, it sounds like she's reading the ad. So the impression that I got when I first watched it was that she was reading the ad, like she found the ad, and we're kind of imagining her at home reading the ad thinking, oh, this is a job that I would like to do, and kind of reading it to herself as she's going there. And I think that now, I think it's probably safe to assume, nothing is safe to assume, right? I think it's probably safe to assume that Ivy gave her the job or told her to come by about the job, that it wasn't just coincidence that she happened to show up at the house. But if she had happened to show up at the house, I think it's really weird. It seems like that would have been a good time to say, oh, hey, I met you when we were at the Hillary Clinton demonstration and you saved me. I mean, they've been through a lot. They met there when Chaz Bono, when Gary Longstreet grabbed her by the pussy and said really hostile things to her, and Winter really protected Ivy. I don't know if, I can't imagine if that was planned, because there's no way that, I mean, it's a big protest, and there's no way that Ivy could have known exactly where, the Winter could have known exactly where Ivy was going to be. It's certainly safe to assume that she was going to be at the protest, but I don't think that it's safe to assume that she'd physically be at that particular point in the protest and that she'd have that interaction with Gary. So I'm not sure about that. But still, main point is that it's strange that neither of them ever say, specifically that Ivy never says to Allie, because it's kind of her responsibility because she's the one in the relationship with Allie. Strange that she never says, oh yeah, this is the girl that helped me when I went to that demonstration without you, when that random guy, not so random guy, grabbed me by the pussy and she protected me, and then we hunted him down to the store that you got kind of, not attacked by, but terrorized by those clowns. And we also tied him up so that he couldn't vote, but then he also got his arm cut off. I guess that's a difficult way to kind of explain how you know somebody. Oh, I met her at a protest is different than, oh, I met her at a protest and then we did all these other things together. One thing leads to another. Yeah, but I do think it's pretty messed up that Ivy never confides in Allie that she knows Winter. Ivy says to Winter in the butchery, or the butcher on Main, the restaurant, can't believe that when it mattered most I froze. I think a lot of us do that. I think a lot of us in our physical bodies and also in conversation, when faced with confrontation, we have those times when we freeze because we're not the ones that are acting, we're the ones that are reacting. So when you're the one doing the acting, you know what's happening, you know what you're gonna do. You can say what you're gonna say and do what you're gonna do, but when you are being acted upon, it's a little bit harder to plan and to predict things like that. So I've definitely been in situations where I've not said what I realized later I should have said, or I haven't done what I realized later I should have done. And I guess that comes from fear and from the fight or flight response that we get when we feel like we're threatened. Maybe that's it. Maybe because the moment that someone's threatening us, I don't know. It's hard. And she also says to Winter, men always think they can get away with everything because they have, which is true in a lot of respects, I think. But it's also interesting, and I'll circle back to this when I talk about the cult in the end. There are so many people in this cult with seemingly diametrically opposed values and needs. Like, if we're assuming that Ivy and Gary are both in the cult, I mean, and Beverly, they're way far away from each other in terms of values and beliefs. And I don't know that the unifying principle of fear is enough to hold people together, but I don't know. I guess we're still moving through this season. Moving on to Kai, see for the first time in this episode that he is taking Adderall. Seems like he's taking a lot of it. He took it when he was watching television and he was watching Beverly's report when they were welcoming her back. He pops a couple pills before he starts watching the television, and then when he sits down at the computer to look at a video of what happened to her, you can see that there's an Adderall label. So that's interesting. You can kind of assume he's taking it for ADHD, but he also could be taking it because it's speed. If you're not, as my understanding is that if it's not prescribed to you, if it's not something that your body needs, that's counteracting something going on in your body, that it's speed. So I'm not sure what is happening for him. And I'm gonna speed you through my lips and do powder and setting spray, and then I think I'm just gonna talk more. Because I am more organized now, but I'm looking at an outline over there. So speed you through my lips. For lips, I'm using, and I'll put pictures of everything on the screen. I know I'm not mentioning a lot of what I'm using. This is NARS Train Bleu. I'm just feeling a little dark. Maybe it's the autumn, maybe it's American Horror Story. I can't tell. I'll be right back. And then for powder, Cover FX Perfect Setting powder in translucent light. So, Kai, I'm gonna squirt myself too and just let myself dry down while I finish talking. I think I'm gonna be talking for a while. Sorry for that. I've grabbed my computer now. I'm just gonna keep looking down at it instead of over there. So, Kai says that he was in the military. I think he's around 30. He was in the military. He's a genius. Mensa asked him to join. He said his IQ is like 130 something, and I thought that Mensa was 140 or 145 and up, but I digress. Went into the military, and then he went to Yale, graduated from Yale with a double major in poli-sci and feminist studies, which I wonder if that's true. It's interesting if it is true, and it's interesting if he's lying about it. And, oh, also Kai, and this will happen, this doesn't happen until the end, but when Beverly comes around in the end, and she's hugging him and says that she believes in him, and she says equal power, and he's hugging her, and he says equal power, and the way that he says it sounds like he means it, but there's something in his eyes that says different, and I'm wondering if that's his fear. If the fear of losing power is his fear. So that'll be interesting, just a little glimmer in his eye. The winter stuff, most of the winter things were associated with other people, so I'm kind of putting it in that category. But the one thing about her is that she helped Ivy before she was Ivy and Allie's nanny. So back to the whole not being transparent about where you met thing is a problem for both. I think more of a problem for Ivy than for Winter, but still. Harrison killed the guy in the gym. Interesting, there was a conversation in the office when we realized that Kai's kind of been looking at Harrison for a while. And Kai says that the gym guy, who I don't even know his name, didn't have a family, didn't have kids, didn't have pets. And that kind of makes it okay. Pedro had a family. We don't know all the details about it, but I think it's weird that, or interesting, I don't know, weird. I do think it's weird that we're getting details about this random gym guy and the fact that his family he doesn't have a family to be impacted by his death, but that we don't hear anything about Pedro. Meadow. She's been through a lot, it seems. She was totally nonplussed by the dismemberment in the bathtub. And she's trying to make out with Harrison, and she's only been successful twice in the whole time they've been married. The fact that she's even trying at all is weird. All I need is you and a decent cable package. Makes me sad. But looks like she designed the clowns from her sketches. Beverly, I think she's not, and I like Adina Porter, and I've seen Adina Porter in a lot, especially in a lot of American Horror Story. And I think she's a really good actress. So the fact that she's coming off as inappropriate in a lot of her reporting, I feel like that has to be intentional. And what I mean is she's, you know, standing in front of like where the head's been found, and it looks like she's kind of smiling. And you don't have to be weeping. I think that the idea of being a journalist is that you're neutral, but there's a glimmer in her eye. I don't know, something about the way that she's doing the reporting makes me wonder what's happening for Beverly. I was thinking about all the people who were doing the grab her by the pussy thing around her. I don't know how I would have handled that. I think that it probably was a bigger issue. I don't actually even know. I'm assuming it's a bigger issue because the person she attacked on the skateboard probably was a minor. But frankly, I might have done that. I might have even done it to a minor. I have no idea. A minor, like under 18, not someone who works in a mine. This has nothing to do with mining. I think I'm scooping coal into a train. I'm not sure. But yeah, I don't know what I would have done. I might have done the same thing. Especially because, and going back to Ivy, when she said that she, like the moment kind of her action came and she froze, if that moment keeps happening again and again, specifically the same moment, if you're reporting and there are guys who are coming up to you and yelling that at you, you might then at some point say, I wish I would have said this or done this. And then the next time it happens, it happens. So the conversation that she has with Kai at the butchery, and I noticed Christmas trees in the background. So that's December. And we also, yeah, see that when she comes back, yeah, there is a December thing on the screen at one point. But there are Christmas trees in the butchery, so that places us there. And this is just messed up. Messed up because she's a woman, and messed up because she's a woman of color, and messed up because she's probably had a lot of trauma. She says to Kai, I'm fine with the rigged game. And she's not fine with it. She can't possibly be fine with it, but she has to be fine with it in order to be able to function. And that's really messed up, really profoundly messed up. And Kai says, knowing the game is rigged isn't worth shit if you're willing to sit at the table and play with those bastards. And oh, man, it's hard because he's just talking about something totally different, I think. Because you can sit at a table and play with people knowing that the game is rigged, but you're playing by a different set of standards and a different set of rules than you would be. You go into it knowing more. You go into it being more informed. So that's hard. And man, what she says about her rage. It's not like anger. Everyone feels that. It's like wanting to be the last person on earth because that way you get to watch every other son of a bitch die before you. That is just crystallized, potent rage. And then lastly, before I go back to the cult, Gary, who's played by Chaz Bono, which is just... He's the one that attacks them, attacks Ivy at the protest. He's the one in the grocery store with his hand. He's the one that cuts off his own hand. And voting is very important. I agree. I don't think I'd cut off my hand. I know there are people that do a lot to be able to vote in a lot of countries. We definitely take our voting rights for granted in this country. But cutting off your hand is a big deal. And I don't know if it was just me. So I watched it when it originally aired, and I've also since watched it. I am buying it on iTunes so I can just watch it as much as I want to without commercials. And I noticed the last part of it, immediately after they are in the basement. So they've already taped him up in the basement. There was a Taco Bell commercial. I'm not sure if that happened in all markets. It definitely happened in mine. I don't know if that was intentional. I don't know, but I certainly noticed that, and that was interesting. Then when Kai comes back and he says, so he's saying this to a Caucasian but also Native American, because Cher is, I think she's Cherokee. Yeah, okay, so her father was Armenian and her mother was Irish, English, German, and Cherokee from wikipedia.com. So her daughter, who is now her son, is a partially Native American, female to male, post-operative, transitioned person. And Kai is yelling at him, for 8 years they've been telling you that there's something wrong with you for being a straight white working man. And man, that is just, I just can't. There's just so much happening there. I don't even know where to begin. And that has to be intentional, that he's the character that is playing Gary. It's just so multifaceted. Wow. Oh, and then I'm also back to the timeline with Gary. So when we first meet Gary, it's when Allie's going to the grocery store for the first time and we see him with his prosthetic hand. So at that point, we don't know exactly when that is, but it's certainly after the election, and he has his prosthetic limb on. So I think that Gary is in the cult or is involved with the cult in one way or another, because I think that he must have let the clowns into the store. He must have organized all that, right? Or was it maybe the night after or 2 nights after? I forget when it was, but it was near enough that it was very near, and oh my God, he did it with just recently having his hand amputated. But yeah, I'm wondering if he's involved. So people in the cult, and I'm finishing up now, and you're very patient for having stayed with me for so long. Who's in the cult? Kai, Harrison, Meadow, and Winter. I think we can confirm we're in the cult. I think that the pinky is what confirms that you're in the cult. Who are the clowns? I think that they might be Kai, Meadow, and Harrison, or Winter, I'm not sure. And then are Ivy, Gary, and Beverly in the cult? We haven't seen them do the pinky thing yet. I think that's what will indicate that they are. So I'm not sure about them yet. The scene in the motel room, just to kind of review what Harrison says when Meadow walks in on him dismembering his boss. She says, who's that? Like in the bathtub, and he says, it's my boss. And then she indicates to Kai, who's that? And he says, someone to believe in. Which is really intense. Oh yeah, and then after they come up on Emma Roberts, the clowns, it's weird that the reporter didn't say anything sooner, that he kind of just like let it happen and he was kind of moving them along. It's a bummer that he got killed because he hadn't done anything to really have that happen. I appreciated the little shot of the dog at the end. And then Beverly downstairs, and he says, That he did it. I saw the violence and the anger. Yes, without apologies for you. I did it for you so that you would believe that I would do anything for you, Beverly. Man, this stuff's getting intense. Intense, intense, intense. So again, we're getting more pieces to kind of put parts of the puzzle together, but we're still getting more pieces, random pieces, and still not really seeing the picture. And I guess that's what happens with a puzzle, is you get the box and you know what picture you're working towards, and here we're just working with a jumble of pieces that we're trying to see if they fit together. And sometimes when you work on a puzzle, you really try to make the pieces fit, and you turn them around and you squish them together, and they don't really fit, but you want to make them fit, so you squish them together. So I wonder how much I'm doing of that as well. So thank you again so much for watching. I am really, really loving doing this. I hope that you are enjoying watching it, and I will see you again very soon. Take care.